man, I am bummed out by the DCEU lately. The big news is Ben Affleck is officially out as Batman, and we've had this announcement several times, but this time, straight from the horse's mouth, straight from Ben Affleck himself on Twitter, he's done. And you know what? That just makes me very, very sad, frankly. Now, I don't know, maybe this was a decision of Ben Affleck himself, and obviously you gotta respect that. You know, the guy's not gonna want to buff up every time to play this role. Maybe they're not really paying him enough for what he's doing, or maybe the guy's just worried about his reputation with all these films kind of harming it lately. But I tell you what, this is gonna hurt things. This is gonna hurt the DC Extended Universe's credibility when next to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, considering how much they've managed to keep around, how little recasting there's been. It feels like a much tighter ship in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whereas the DC Extended Universe, there's a lot of weird reverse decision making. I haven't seen Aquaman yet. I really want to see it, but I'm not going to comment on that right now. Right now, I'm just talking about the Ben Affleck Batman of the DC Extended Universe, and how I think this could have really gone wrong. Okay, so he made his first appearance in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and I won't lie, I have some gripes with the theatrical release of this film. But I like it. I like that it did try new things. It tried to break new ground when it came to the superhero genre. It wasn't all about that action. It was much more about sort of a story that sort of moves itself along, well, like any other story. But you understand what I'm saying here. There's a lot of set-piece moments that weren't necessarily big action moments, but it had the action in there. But Ben Affleck's Batman was an absolute standout. He wasn't a conventional Batman by any means, but at the same time, he was much closer to source material than anything we've really had in the past in films. Well, appearance-wise anyway, and how he sort of performs and portrays the role. He made a ridiculously competent Batman. You'd believe this guy could do pretty much anything. But I think they were in a bit of a tricky position because Batman v Superman and sort of Zack Snyder, the two things are very, very stylized. Zack Snyder's very much got a filming style that he was going full pelt with when it came to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. He wanted it to be sort of a 3-hour-long political epic sort of thing. Like, it's all about the politics of superheroes and sort of perceptions in the media and everything. And, you know, he had sort of a focus on a story of kind of his own, which would sort of interweave these DC characters together, but it was much more sort of in honor of Superman in a way. And that's the thing I've kind of noticed about Batman v Superman and Justice League, is story-wise, they are more about Superman than they are anybody else. They haven't really balanced, like, team dynamics in the way that Marvel do. And to be honest, I'm fine with that. I don't mind a certain character being treated as a priority. As a matter of fact, I'd certainly rather that than Batman constantly take center stage all the time, like he tends to. And you know, it's hard to blame them. Batman is a great character. I love this guy. But it's just, I don't mind there being a centerpiece to a cinematic universe and Superman being that. But I feel like we were sort of at odds here because the studio probably wanted to release something for general audiences to enjoy, which is not what Batman v Superman was. And ultimately, the cut getting, you know, as butchered as it was for the theatrical release, while it didn't make much sense, I feel like it did what it needed to do to make it a bit more digestible for sort of standard audiences that want to bring their kids and such. But to be honest, I can't see this being really a film that kids would enjoy that much, because there's not much spectacle. There's not a huge amount of, like, exciting action set pieces or anything. I mean, they're in there, but it's as I say, it's more plot orientated. But the problem is when that plot barely makes sense because it's been cut down, that's when you have another problem entirely. But I appreciate it for its ambition and its filmmaking and its visuals and everything like that. And I can appreciate the sort of messages it's trying to get across in that. You might think you're right based on your own perceptions of a person, but by the end of it, it's not until you truly get to know them and their struggles that, you know, you understand who they are and everything. And it's, you know, Batman and Superman's ideologies coming together and, you know, being at odds and everything. It's all there, but, like, I think this was a tricky position for Zack Snyder and a tricky position for Warner Brothers. And I think the fact that they released the Ultimate Edition on Blu-ray afterwards was a bit of an admission of defeat, but I think the Ultimate Edition of this film is an honourable movie. I really love the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. I'd consider it one of my favourites, frankly. But after that, this sort of direction that they were heading in kind of grinds to a bit of a halt. as the next appearance for the Ben Affleck Batman was Suicide Squad, which is a completely different type of movie. We go from sort of the serious, grimy sort of political thriller that was Batman v Superman to something much more sort of a trash genre, sort of raunchy comedy sort of thing with Suicide Squad. And it has to be said, Batman's role in that movie is very minuscule. It's a very small, brief, glorified cameo, pretty much. But I think the thing is, like, as far as I'm concerned, this is my personal view anyway, I feel like Suicide Squad was not a well-made film at all. And this definitely will have hurt the credibility of the DC Extended Universe. However, it's like the inconsistency of this vision is ridiculous. You look at the Suicide Squad cast, and that's the Batman Rogues Gallery, pretty much. And can you believe that they take place in a Zack Snyder universe? Like, could you imagine these guys in a Zack Snyder movie? I don't think so, because the thing is, like, I think the whole appeal of the DC Extended Universe, or at least a big part of it, was how well realized these comic book imagery was. Like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman all together for the first time on the big screen, and they all look just how you imagine them. Batman's finally in a grey suit, Superman is as classic looking as ever, Wonder Woman is basically pulled straight from the New 52. It's all just as you imagined it. And then you come to Suicide Squad, where every character has had a very, very dramatic redesign. They've all been, so they've sort of attempted to bring them all up to date with current trends for young people, and that feels so out of place. Could you imagine these guys running around in Batman v Superman? And as well as that, the characterizations of the Batman Rogues Gallery were dialed back to the most simplified state they could possibly exist in. Everything was all stripped down to be appealing to sort of a lowest common denominator sort of thing, and it really shows in Suicide Squad that they're making this so some young people can go to the movies, have a good time, hear some of their favourite songs, have a few little one-liners they can quote. But ultimately, for me, it just came across as very insulting to the intelligence, and it seems to be trying to appeal to a very different demographic to what Batman v Superman was. So there's really no consistent vision for this Batman and this Batman universe. And that brings us to Justice League, where we have Batman sort of leading the new league, sort of as kind of like a Superman tribute act in a way, and he's much more enlightened. He's kind of got a redemption story where he's trying to be as much like Superman as he possibly can to sort of make up for the damage that he did in Batman v Superman. And I really like this arc. I know a lot of people don't like the fact that Batman's behaving with a lot more humility this time, but to be honest, like, what are you expecting to do? Like, what do you expect? Do you want him to, like, beat up Superman again? Because that's just not going to happen, That's the whole point of the arc. But I think the Batman story that they've told through all of this is a pretty good Batman story overall. Like, the whole thing of he's gone too far, he gets redeemed, he does his bit to help out and make the world a better place once there's no Superman. There really feels like there's some kind of threat to this Batman, but he later on becomes kind of a necessity because he acknowledges the fact that he became a threat. Although I have to say, I feel unfulfilled by Ben Affleck's tenure as Batman, because I wanted the chance to see him in his own film, in his own element, taking on Batman villains. And this is the trouble with the Ben Affleck Batman. We've seen him take on Steppenwolf, and we've seen him take on Doomsday and Lex Luthor, but we haven't really seen him properly take on the Joker at all. We haven't seen him take on the Penguin or the Riddler or anything like that. The only Batman villain we've seen him take on is a very brief exchange between him and Deadshot. It's so quick. I feel like a Batman is not properly blooded, not properly hazed until he's taken on that iconic Rogues Gallery, but they somehow managed to screw up the thing that can't be screwed up because you've got all these years of brilliant stories to extract from. We've got kind of the best Batman with the worst Rogues Gallery, and what is a Batman worth without his villains, frankly? This is really sad, honestly. I think Ben Affleck is one of the best actors to play the Batman on the big screen to date. I think he was absolutely spectacular in the role, and he did a superb job. And you know what? I love Batman v Superman and Justice League. I really, really do. I think they're great films for him, and I'm grateful that we finally got to see Batman in some crossover films. Now, I'm kind of split here on the DC Extended Universe at this point. Like, a lot of the things I was hoping for are clearly not happening. we're getting sequel upon sequel upon sequel to Suicide Squad, a movie I hated. It's a film made for all the wrong reasons, and the whole thing just comes across as bile trash. We're getting Gotham City Sirens. No, not even that. We're getting The Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. We're getting Harley Quinn the movie, the Joker and Harley Quinn movie, the Joker movie starring Jared Leto, the Joker movie starring Joaquin Phoenix, the Deadshot spin-off, Suicide Squad 2. This is the side of the DC Extended Universe and the side of the superhero genre as a whole that I can't stand. It's just made for merch. It's so cynically made, factory product film. But where's Man of Steel 2? Where is that? That's the thing I'm waiting for at this point. And I won't lie, I was only really looking forward to the Matt Reeves Batman movie because it's directed by Matt Reeves. I mean, I absolutely adore the recent Planet of the Apes movies, so I think this guy is a perfect choice to direct a Batman movie. I was thrilled when I heard that news. But without Ben Affleck, I can't really see that much appeal to any of this anymore. I mean, like, there's been rumour upon rumour of Henry Cavill leaving the DC Extended Universe, and to be honest, I think if he's gone, I think I'm done with this. I'm happy with Gotham, frankly, as my live-action Batman at this point, and I'm happy to kind of say, yep, we got the grey and black suit at last. Let's call it quits with Batman now. Let's give it a break. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a Justice League 2 minus Batman for a bit, you know, just as like a one-off thing. Maybe we could imply that he's gone off somewhere else, or maybe he's retired, or maybe he's died even. Personally, I think I would, if I had to recast Batman myself, I think David Boreanaz would be a very good choice for Batman. I mean, whenever I watch Buffy, I just think, yeah, David Boreanaz would make a good Batman, but you know what else would really work? James Marsters Spike as the Joker. Because he kind of looks like the Jared Leto Joker in a way, and he kind of is similar in a number of ways, but he kind of just feels much better, if you know what I mean. He feels like a Jared Leto Joker if Jared Leto Joker was good. In fact, if we lose Henry Cavill, I think I have some idea of how best to really bring a DC Extended Universe to screens rebooted. So this would be to start off with the Justice League entirely assembled. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, it's like, oh, you're going to have to build up movies, you're going to earn it. It's like, the thing is, you don't. Like, watch The Incredibles, watch any Fantastic Four movie, watch Guardians of the Galaxy, watch a DC animated movie. You do not have to have individual origins for these characters to understand them or to appreciate them. And hell, you can earn the excitement through the one standalone movie. So start with a Justice League film that's kind of loosely based on Justice League The New Frontier. And sort of set it in like the 1950s or the 1970s or something. That way it can never date, and any technological stuff in there, well, you pass it off as fiction, and it makes Batman's gadgets seem all the more formidable because, you know, he's supposed to be a guy with insane gadgetry. If you set it in the past, it's all the more exciting. And as well as that, you can make the costumes as kind of as comic book accurate as you want if you set it in a bygone era. I mean, fashions have changed and everything. You could take it a lot more seriously this way. But I think most importantly, have a really good director in the helm, and I'm thinking Brad Bird. I mean, the guy did The Incredibles 1 and 2, and I think that's the perfect sort of universe for the Justice League to sort of exist in. Introduce a number of little villains along the way. Have like one main one, of course. But I think it's a good idea to establish some Batman rogues so they can't be ruined at a later date, you know? So we can't have another Suicide Squad situation. So we have a really good, competent director with a very clear vision of these characters, setting them up in this one, and then just kind of use that as the springboard for your cinematic universe. That way you've got some idea of what's to come, and we can feel more of a sense of trust in it. But I feel like setting it in the past would be one means for the DC Extended Universe to really set itself apart from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it's clearly having some kind of identity crisis right now. But hey, that's just my idea anyway. Obviously, Hollywood ain't listening, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. Well, I would, actually. I just wouldn't be working at McDonald's. So how do you feel about Ben Affleck being gone as Batman, then? Frankly, not happy. Not even remotely happy. But hey, we can't always get what we want, hey? I really hope he comes back. But I'm sure Matt Reeves is, you know, he's got an idea of what he wants this movie to be, and I'm sure that whoever he's picked as Batman is going to be great. So yes, thank you for watching, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments below. And if you're new here, as always, please do feel free to subscribe. And if you're not new here, then I'm glad to see you again. I am bummed out. You can probably tell I'm bummed out about this. I cared about this. I put a lot of faith into the DC Extended Universe. I've been one of the people that's sort of cheering it on and everything in the face of all scrutiny. God, I'm acting so self-righteous right now. I'm going to stop. The video ends here. Thank you so much for watching and have a great night.